Hello everyone, Twana Michelle here. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you have been here before. If you don't know who I am a psychotherapist and recovery coach, and I help those who are struggling with codependency, narcissistic abuse, and interpersonal trauma. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to avoid toxic relationships for good. And it is very simple. I have just a few points to tell you guys about how to avoid these toxic relationships. If you came to this video, you probably, like myself and many others who have struggled with codependency or issues related to being a healer, a rescuer, a fixer, a people pleaser, an empath, you probably have found yourself drawn to people who are unhealthy in some way, people who you feel may be sort of a project that you have wanted to fix, either consciously or unconsciously, but you have likely had a pattern of toxic relationships with people. Now let's talk about what a toxic relationship is, because I know that phrase is kind of thrown around a lot, and I think it's overused. The word toxic itself, I think, is overused. I think calling a relationship toxic is also not always used appropriately. Let's just say that every relationship has its problems. We know that. There's no perfect relationship. Every couple is going to have fights. They're going to have arguments. People make mistakes. So people don't, always do the right things. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's toxic. You are in a toxic relationship when you are dealing with someone who is not capable of having a healthy relationship, and they don't have the awareness of that. So I know there are some people who say, well, sometimes I'm toxic and it's not always the other person. If you are able to say sometimes I am toxic, then you probably are not. You have faults just like the rest of us. Someone who is toxic typically doesn't really see that about themselves. They tend to play the victim. They tend to blame others. We're talking about our narcissist, our other personality disorders might have some toxicity as well. So it's more than just having issues in a relationship or having issues within yourself and bringing some of that baggage into your relationship. That doesn't necessarily make it toxic. Something is toxic when it is so bad for you, no matter what. It's not going to get any better. It's poison to your body, mind, soul, spirit. Think about something that would actually be a toxin. For instance, let's look at alcohol. Alcohol is a toxic substance to our bodies. Now, people drink alcohol, and if alcohol is consumed in moderate amounts, it may not lead to any trouble. But what happens when you have too much alcohol? Besides the fact that you get drunk in the moment, people get physically addicted. You can even die from alcohol because it is so toxic to your body, and your body is wanting to get rid of the alcohol. That's why if you get really drunk, you're throwing up, you are peeing a lot. So your body has ingested this toxic that it's trying to get rid of. And no matter what you do, you cannot change the fact that alcohol is toxic. Same goes for toxic people and toxic relationships. They're gonna always be toxic. This video is to tell you how to avoid these toxic relationships for good. The first way to avoid these toxic relationships is to have the awareness that your relationship is toxic. So I've talked to you a little bit about what it means to be toxic. A toxic relationship struggles with problems that are repeated, and problems that can be very damaging to you emotionally and mentally and physically. A toxic relationship may have physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. A toxic relationship may have untreated mental illness. Now, let me say that I'm not saying a mentally ill person is toxic. An untreated mentally ill person can be toxic to a relationship because unless they get treated, they cannot change some of the symptoms that mental illness causes, which in turn creates problems in the relationship that can't be changed until that illness is treated and changed. You might be dealing with an addict. I gave the example of alcohol earlier. You might actually be dealing with someone who is an alcoholic, a drug addict. And again, if they don't get treatment, they bring all of that into a toxic relationship. So in a toxic relationships, you are having all of these problems as a result of an individual or both individuals' dysfunctional, unhealthy, and perhaps untreated symptoms and behaviors. And it's happening over and over again. Nothing's changing, nothing's getting any better. And you're fighting all the time, you're unhappy, you're not feeling like yourself, you're feeling, like you're going crazy. You, for the most part, are feeling just having a lot of negative feelings about the relationship and about yourself in that relationship. And it does not really change. You may have some good moments, but for the most part, things always go back to being horrible. So you have to have that awareness first. You have to be able to see red flags and act on them immediately and not just stay in these relationships hoping that these people are going to change when they've shown you who they are. The second way to avoid these toxic relationships for good is to be honest with yourself about what and who you're attracted to. Many who are drawn to toxic people and toxic relationships, they kind of like the excitement, they like the unpredictability, they like the drama, they find nice people to be boring, they find stable relationships to be boring. Now, all of this may be an unconscious thing for a while until you really do the work on yourself and you learn that that's what you're attracted to. And there's a reason. You most likely came from a home where there was chaos and drama and excitement and unpredictability and all of these things going on. So that's all you know that feels like home to you. But you have to be aware that that's what you like. That's what you are interested in. That's what makes you feel alive. And it sounds pretty disturbing and ironic. You're probably wondering, why would something that is not good for me make me feel most alive? Why would I be drawn to something that is bad for me, is unhealthy for me? It seems paradoxical. Like, I don't understand. Well, because that is what you're used to, and that is what is familiar to you. So you have to be honest with yourself about that. You can't say, I really want to meet a nice guy, and you're not ready for that. You meet the nice guy, you feel bored, he's not doing it for you, you say you don't have any chemistry with them, and you end up sabotaging that relationship in some way. Now, I'm not saying stay with the bad guys or the toxic folk until you are ready for something healthier. What I'm saying is, be honest with yourself. If you have not done the work on recovering from things in your childhood that may have led you to wanting to be in these relationships in the first place, and I'm not going to say want to, because it's, like I said, it's typically not always a conscious thing. We are drawn to people in relationships as a way of Mother Nature, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, creating these circumstances so that our unresolved wounds can come to the surface and we can heal them. That's the whole point of these relationships, to provide healing and to bring awareness to ourselves. And so it serves a purpose, but you have to be honest with yourself about what you really like in relationships. Now, you can say, I like this, but I know it's not good for me. But at least you're being honest with yourself. Because the more you're in denial about what you're really attracted to, the more you're going to attract it. The more you're going to find yourselves in those relationships. And that's not what you want. And the third tip on how to avoid these toxic relationships for good is to completely, totally avoid people you are initially and instinctively attracted to. And I know that sounds crazy because aren't we supposed to be trying to form connections with people we're drawn to? And I don't care if this is romantic relationships or just platonic friendships. If your romantic relationships are toxic, your friendships are likely toxic as well. You are drawn to that kind of person. And so you want to be able to recognize that if this person just like gives me instant butterflies, I'm feeling instant chemistry, I am magnetically drawn to them, like this person just does it for me right off the bat, then that's probably not someone who's good for you. And you have to avoid them. And that means that you have to be open to attraction or to allowing the development of attraction to a different type of person. And it's very, very difficult to do. For one, like I said, you're attracted to the toxic because it feels familiar to you. It feels like home is all you've ever known. You're attracted to the toxic because it's exciting, it's addictive, it makes you feel alive. There's always something going on. And good or bad, it's still stimulation. It's very, very difficult to say, well, given all of that, I'm just going to completely avoid these people and open myself to the possibility of being with the type of person I've never been with before, the type of person where an attraction has to grow, the type of person where I don't feel amazing chemistry with right off the bat, but they might be good for me. But that's basically what I'm saying. You have to choose, do I want unhealthy but exciting, not in all in good ways, but still addictive and exciting, spontaneous, unpredictable, but unhealthy and abusive? Or do I want something that is more stable, calm, consistent, healthy, reliable? You choose. If you want something other than the toxic relationship, then of course you want the healthy, consistent, calm, reliable person and relationship in your life. That may sound and feel a little boring to you. But the more you open yourself to that, the more you experience what your life is like with a healthy person, the more you realize you don't miss any of the drama and the so-called excitement anyway. Because what you have is peace. What you have in place of that is genuine love. What you have in place of the toxicity is self-worth, higher self-esteem, self-confidence, progression in your healing journey, in your spiritual journey, in your life in general. So, I mean, you have to decide. And like I said, if you came to this video, you're probably wanting to avoid these toxic relationships, and that's really the way to do it. You've got to be aware, you've got to be honest with yourself, and you have to avoid the people that you are instinctively attracted to and be open to the possibility of something else. And to change your perception, to not see it as boring and dull, but to see it and speak of it as healthy, stable, reliable, consistent, peaceful. So let me know what you guys think about this. If you've struggled with avoiding people that are toxic because you are drawn to them, if you struggle being in healthy relationships, what is that like for you? Let me know down below in the comment section. And if you have any questions, leave those down below as well. If you have any topic ideas for videos you'd like me to do, leave that down as well. And if you like this video, guys, go ahead and smash that like button. That helps me with the YouTube algorithm and helps me release this message to more people. And if you have not subscribed already, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.